So, before he died then, didn't he get shot in the foot or something? Lee?
Yeah. He got shot by, I think it was lads from Birmingham, I think.
But he was out quick. He was back on his feet quite quickly, wasn't he? Even though he got shot.
He was back doing the doors on the cast.
Was he dancing on a crutch or something?
Mad. He had a cast on, and he was still doing a couple of doors.
Yeah.
Down, yeah.
Wow.
Mental. He used to stand, like, after that had happened as well.
Yeah.
He used to stand, like, on the main road with his back to the main road, just stand like that.
Yeah.
You know, and like, my mate used to say, I used to see him after he'd been shot, and people were after him, and things were happening, and you'd hear stories, and you'd go through the town, and you'd see him stood with his back against the road, just his arms crossed, stood there, like, thinking, you know, like, I used to think, now he's off at him. Do you know what it's like? A mentality used to go, like, is it this aura, like, he's untouchable? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, oh, like, it's just it's chilling to think, innit? Do you know what I mean? When you think about it, thinking he just stood there, like, knowing that, like, you gotta kill me.
Yeah.
Do you know?
So he gets shot in the foot. Now a guy tries to set fire to him in a pub as well.
Yeah.
What happened there?
He was picking on the guy's brother, or something along them lines.
Did he try to set fire to the guy's brother?
No. Lee was onto the guy's brother or something. He was I think he was threatening the guy's brother or doing something along them lines. So this guy who set him alight, he'd come in and found out that Lee was torturing his brother. So he asked Lee for a couple of quid. He said, lend us 3 quid, Lee. So Lee give him the 3 quid. And where the pub was, over the road, like through the tunnel, is the petrol station, as the petrol station. So he's walked over, filled the petrol on, come in, swilled him, and then tried to light matches, tried to set him alight.
Jesus.
And Lee kicked the fucking shit out of him.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I live just on that doorstep, like right round the cut, like 10 seconds away from that pub where it happened. Absolutely, man. I still see the guy as well today.
So he was covered in petrol then?
Yeah, but not just Lee. He'd covered a few.
He covered a few?
If he'd have lit, excuse me, if he'd have lit that match, I dare say a few people would have went up.
So why wasn't the match lit?
Couldn't light it. I stood there with a lighter like that. Bloody hell.
And didn't Lee take some quick action? Like he ran outside.
Ran
or something
outside,
to put
stripped off, yeah.
Yeah,
Ran outside, stripped off, come back in and kicked the living shit.
So he was naked when he beat the guy?
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's been shot. A guy's tried to set fire to him. What actually happened on the night then that he was killed? Were they different enemies?
I've heard a few stories, and I've heard a few stories around it all, and you know, it's truly know what happens. You always put your finger on it, but I've heard from good sources that like Allo was a tough man himself.
Was that the one who tried to set fire to him?
No, that's the man who stabbed him.
Okay.
And he was a tough man, Davey. He was a tough man. He was a fighting man himself, and I think Lee, I'd had a few run-ins with him, and they were fighting a lot, and you know, I think Lee was just too much for most men, for anyone really, and I think he was giving Allo it in a bad way. From what I know is someone slid him a knife. He's managed to get it. Bosh stabbed him under here, in the armpit, main artery. Potentially wouldn't have killed him if someone had put pressure on. If he had put pressure on and waited maybe 10-15 minutes for the ambulance to get, he'd still be alive now. But he ran, he jumped about and started, you know, a bit more animated and bled to death. Bled to death. To be fair, like I always think, it was my mum who very first told me the story when I was a kid, and she said, "You know what, son, he'd still be alive now if someone had applied pressure." I thought, wow, never left me that. I thought, imagine someone just saved him. Do you know what I mean?
So how does his family feel then about you playing him in the movie?
I spoke to Laurie before he passed away about it. God rest his soul. Very close with Laurie. He was good friends. I used to help him with the feeding the homeless. He was a Christian man. Very, very good man he was. I spoke to him. He wasn't too happy about everything what was going on with Lee. He wanted it kept quiet. He didn't want it all and blown up and all. He didn't want it happening. But he didn't give me the blessing. But because I told him, he said, "Look, Laurie, this is not about Lee. It's about me and my family. Like, if this is going to open doors and open avenues for me as a different career, and it could work for me, and I can provide for my family," I says, "I'm going to do it, mate." And he was like, "Yeah, no problem." Like, "Look, you're my friend. I've known you all my life." He says, "Don't worry about it." He says, "I'm not happy about it." He says, "But it is what it is, isn't it?"
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, Jamie says to me, he says, "Look, Paul, someone rang you up and said, would you play Ian Huntley tomorrow?" going to say yeah, aren't you? Do you know what I mean? It's not
Yeah.
about the person who you're playing. This is about me. Sean, as selfish as it sounds, I've got 3 kids. I've got a family. I need to do things. I need to think about me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. So you've mentioned then South Bank, Teesside, Middlesbrough. We've got a big audience in America. They've probably never heard of these names before.
Yeah.
Could you explain what they are and what it was like growing up there?
South Bank, roughest town in Middlesbrough, maybe is like the Bronx in America. Maybe not as bad. South Bank's a rough town. A lot of decent fighters, a lot of decent boxers, a lot of tough men from South Bank, Grangetown. South Bank and Grangetown are separated by Cornfield, and we're the heart of Middlesbrough, I believe. You've got Middlesbrough Town Centre, then we're just on the outskirts, which is we're classed as Middlesbrough. Do you know what I mean? And it's the roughest towns. Everyone has the rough towns, and this is what South Bank is. And growing up in South Bank wasn't hard for me. Like it's my town. Do you know what I mean? It is rough, and when you drive through posh areas, you think, "No, where am I living?" But it's my town, and I love it, and it'll always be in my heart. Everyone knows everyone. It is what it is. Getting a bit messy now. Like years ago, like I look back at them years, and your Lee Duffys, your Anthony O's, your Peter O's, all them, your Brian Cockrells, all them hard men who would fight, and then just fight, and sort of differences out that way. Doesn't happen like that now, Sean.
All the cameras and everything.
Yeah, not only that, mate. People will put a fucking mask on and stab you in the back, whack you with a hammer,
Put acid on your face.
Yeah. My eyes, very, 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 very cowardly act. In my eyes, if call me old school, but if I've got a difference with someone, I would much rather meet him on the field, see who's the best man, and shake hands. And that's how it's got to be. But it doesn't work this way now.
Even the old school, like Italian mafia guys I interviewed, don't harm women, don't harm kids,
Yeah.
If you've got a beef with another person in the fucking business, you take it out on them, whack them.
Yeah.
But not when they're sat there with the wife and kids and shit like that.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, even if you're in a naughty game, you can still have morals. You can still you can still have standards. You can still go. Like for example, they're saying no women, no kids. You can still buy your time. You can still sort it out. Do you know what I mean? It's just he who dares wins, innit? Do you know what I mean? But it's I don't know. I look back at the old days and I wish I was born in them days, because I just think sounds like a right barrel of laughs. Do you know what I mean? And it's see now, mate. No one respects the hard man as much as they used to then. It doesn't matter how good a fighting you are, how wide you are, Sean. It doesn't matter now.
Yeah.
What matters now is these kids ride past on a bike now and fucking put it all in you. They'll stab you.
When they should be in boxing rings and dojos and channeling that energy in that way, really,
100%,
shouldn't
mate.
they?
1,000,000%, yeah.
So another parallel in your and Lee's lives is that you were bullied as well.
Yeah.
What happened there?
When I was a kid, I was a bit overweight, 2 different coloured eyes, fair head, ginger, kids can be cruel, picked on to the point where I didn't want to go to school, was crying. Got to the point, it got really bad, to be fair, where I was worried about going. I couldn't sleep on the night. I was telling my dad was up and down to school. I mean, my dad was a big, heavy man himself. He was a bodybuilder. Not a fighting man, just a lovely man, could handle himself, not a pushover. And he got that sick of going up and down to school. He was a very emotional man when he done this, and he's like, grabbed my bag, he went, fucking put a knife in my bag and went, fucking stab him. I'm fucking sick. And he was upset, and he was very upset. My mum was like, whoa, what you doing? But he was seeing his boy cry and he didn't know what else to do. And he just pulled it out and he went, look, I'm sorry, son, I'm sorry. He said, he's not going, keep him off school. And that's how bad it got for me, Sean, do you know what I mean? We got bad to the point where, Dad took me to boxing. He was like, right, go there for a few days. Went there for a few weeks. I didn't like it in there. I just couldn't find my feet, Sean, do you know what I mean? And it was difficult for me being a child, feeling different and with all that low self-worth that I was suffering with. But by the time I was in secondary school, it's some sharp change. Something flipped in my mind where, I'll fight back, and the table's turned, mate.
I know Lee caught up with some of his bullies later on.
Yeah.
Did you run into any of your bullies later on?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I seek revenge most times, but I kind of didn't have to. It wasn't. It was just kids. But when I got to a certain age where I was 15, 16, I'd built a reputation for myself as like an hard kid, and I was doing all that stuff with like Lee Duffy. I would walk from different school. Who's the artist in the school? And the kid would say me, and I'll say, well, come on then.